we were just watching a video prior to you coming on where he was talking about some of his lifts, and you as his strength coach will probably know more of his numbers, but what are some, like, how strong is he on some of these lifts, like the squat, bench, deadlift, even rack pulls? How much weight is this guy working with?
So leading up, like last 6 months, we were kind of working a little more strength endurance, but like if I had to put an absolute number on what he can, like if he could pull right now, I think Jon, say we're doing, let's just say for instance, we'll go on pin 3, pin 4 of a rack. I think he can pull right now 645 to 665 if I had to put a number on it. So a lot of the stuff we've been doing a little more 3 rep and 5 rep maxes, just so that we're make sure, like he's like, well, just making sure his conditioning and everything. I was like, well, I need you to be strong for 5 rounds. Fortunately, we'd even have to worry about 1 round this fight, but so the nice part is that he got to show off some skills in a couple minutes. And even though he could have very easily went 25 minutes and done the same thing if he wanted. But for a pull, I think he's low to mid 6s. Squat, I think right now he's sitting right about mid 5s. And if I had to put a single on his press, I think he could press upwards of 365, maybe even 385, depending on the day and depending on like where his striking, grappling, day before, day after, like more so on those things. But like, say if he was just worrying about lifting, I think that's where his numbers are.
Throw on a slingshot, go for 405. Why not?
Hey, why not? Hey, by all means. Like I said, if I wasn't worried about him having to practice 3 more sessions after, by all means, let's get that slingshot on there and let's throw 405 for a couple.
Power Project family, your normal shoes are making you weak. This is why you partner with Vivo Barefoot Shoes, because they have a wide toe box, they're flat, and they're flexible. So with every single step you're taking, if you're taking a 10-minute walk outside or when you're working out in the gym, your feet are able to do what they're supposed to do in this shoe. They have tons of options for hiking, running, training in the gym, chilling and relaxing, casual shoes for if you're out on a date. You need to check them out. And Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at vivobarefoot.com/powerproject, and you guys will receive 15% off your order automatically. Again, vivobarefoot.com/powerproject. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
It is really cool to kind of see that you're letting an athlete lift some pretty big loads, because one thing is that you don't tend to see a lot of professional athletes doing stuff like that because their coaches don't allow them to for safety reasons. So I'm curious, do you ever feel like, do you ever load something and are you ever like, oh shit, should he do it? Because it seems like you just let him rock. So how do you have that confidence to let that, I guess, multi-million-dollar body do all that work?
So I kind of take that upon myself because I feel like I make sure and teach everyone, him or regardless of anyone walks through my door, I take the time to make sure they can do things correctly. And the amount of hours that we put in to initially learn these given movements, that as long as I'm not seeing any breakdown on any given day, I'm fine with loading it. And I tell him all the time, even like there's times when he was like, well, that's a generous amount you added. I'm like, I will never load something on the bar that I don't think you can hit today. At the end of the day, if I load it on the bar, I know you can hit it. And so that's kind of my take on that is I think too many individuals are afraid to load someone either because I think they were too lazy on the front end to actually teach them the movement. So then I think if you spend day in and day out making sure the initial movement pattern is solid, on the back end, you're not worried about loading a bar up. Because if I have a 80-year-old woman walk in the door, I'm not throwing 100 pounds on her back. But if I have an 80-year-old woman that I've been training for the last 18 months squatting solid, I'm fine with loading 100 pounds on her back. So I think anyone that's afraid to load an individual doesn't trust in what they've taught that individual.
And selecting the correct exercise is a big deal. Sounds 100%. Like I'm sure you use full range of motion with some aspects of what you guys train and what you do. But it looks like when you're overloading, you're utilizing probably bench pressing off of boards, deadlifting 100%. Out of the rack. Like Jon's a tall guy, figuring out, proper squat mechanics and things. It's nicer to do a box squat where it's a little bit above parallel. I know the internet blows up and they lose their mind. Yeah. But this is the way a lot of athletes have been training for a really long time. And a lot of people, a lot of strength coaches subscribe to what you're talking about. Like, let's get in the gym and let's get strong with some fundamental gym movements. And then let's go play our sport. Let's not necessarily take a 250-pound dummy bag and try to connect bands to it and things like that to try to mimic the sport in some weird way.
Yeah, I'm like, you have to remember the amount of reps they're getting in on the given sport is through the roof. If someone wanted to go in on an hour practice and see how many punches are thrown in an hour practice, the guy's throwing over 1,000 punches. Let's just put a ballpark number on it. They're throwing 1,000 punches. You really think they need to throw another 1,000 punches against a 120-pound bag or a 120-pound band? That's gonna fix them. I'm like, no. Now you're just adding extra volume, extra wear and tear on a joint that's already had the volumes through the roof, and they still have 3 more days of training. So I think that's where, like, trying to mimic exactly what they're doing is just adding unnecessary volume and wear and tear to those individual muscles rather than trying to do something that can counterbalance that. All right, if my guy's throwing 1,000 punches, I need him to do 1,000 rows this week. Like, everyone's worried about all their accelerators and not worried as much of their decelerators. I'm like, their backside needs to be able to stop them more than the amount of times they can throw it. I was like, it does us no good to have a Ferrari go 250 miles an hour, but we can't stop.
Power Project family, we appreciate you checking out this clip. Check out another one. Just go check out another one. Or comment down below and let us know what you liked about this one. But we love you guys, and we're going to keep bringing you the heat. So comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, okay? Peace.